Just about a year after we got the Baz Luhrmann movie Elvis, we see the other side of the story now. Based on Priscilla Presley's novel Elvis and Me from the 80s, Sofia Coppola takes on Priscilla. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to my spoiler-free review for the new film Priscilla. This is in theaters right now and directed by Sofia Coppola, like I said. In fact, not just directed by, written by and produced by as well. So no stranger to the tale of a metaphorically caged woman, being oppressed by the man that she loves, be it, in this case, a huge rock star and later her husband Elvis, or we've seen it with many of the Coppola movies. It's sort of her stock in trade, and you look maybe some biographical stuff there for her. Obviously, her father was a very powerful man, Francis Ford Coppola. So anyway, this is obviously dealing with Priscilla Presley and her life with Elvis. I mean, that's there's not much more on the log line than that we can talk about. So before we launch into the specifics here of the movie, let me welcome you into Dan Reviews It. Thank you for finding this video. Movie and TV reviews are the name of the game here on the channel, and just about every day I do try to post something new. So always a lot to check out, and I've got handy dandy playlists on the homepage as well if you are just interested in the movie stuff. If you're just interested in the TV stuff, I also have like some specialty playlists as well for the Masked Singer and for Frasier and other things that I do here on the channel, more specific, than just movies, TV. But anyway, so please consider subscribing. Would love to have you aboard in that capacity. All right, so let's talk about Priscilla. It's interesting that this came out, just after the Baz Luhrmann movie Elvis. In this case, Elvis is played by Jacob Elordi. But Priscilla, who we barely saw really in the Baz Luhrmann movie, which kind of makes sense based on what was going on in that movie and where we were going. But here, this is all about Priscilla, who is played by Kaylee Spaney. And while the Baz Luhrmann movie sort of shied away from, Priscilla was clearly young in that movie, but was she 14? No, I don't think so. They sort of kind of, danced around it. She was clearly younger. But, look, the real story is the real story. And in the 50s and 60s, it was certainly more commonplace to be with, younger women, especially if you are a powerful dude. And Elvis could certainly have his pick of the litter, but he, saw a spark there with Priscilla. And we know this Kaylee Spaney from a lot of more, independent type movies. She was in Bad Times at the El Royale, On the Basis of Sex, which was about Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She was in Devs, the miniseries, which is really great on FX, if you could check that out, if you're into the sci-fi thing. But anyway, both of these guys are just knockouts in the casting department. And I really was not sure how I was going to feel about another Elvis impression, for lack of a better word, or interpretation, so quickly after the wonderful Baz Luhrmann movie with the performance by Austin Butler, who, look, I think he should have won an Oscar for the role. I liked Brendan Fraser in The Whale, but, the dude transformed into Elvis. But here, we see a more realistic Elvis, a more grounded Elvis, I think. The Baz Luhrmann movies always have more of a theatrical flair to them. And so it worked, better for that role. Here, we see definitely a more maybe realistic Elvis. I'm not sure. I don't think he quite has the voice down like Butler did, but look, two very different stories here with Elvis's life and stuff. And I think the truth obviously lies somewhere in the middle. But because this is more Priscilla's story, this tackles a ton of things that the Luhrmann biopic didn't even touch, which makes sense because this is mostly told through the eyes of Priscilla as a young schoolgirl. And Spaney is 25, I think, or is now. Maybe when they filmed this, it was like, she was 23 or 24. But she pulls off, the teenage thing well. They really kind of, pigtailed her up, let's say, and made her believable as a young girl. And so we see sort of how she deals with, going to school while, being in a relationship with the biggest star on the planet, and we move that through the stages, and then eventually up to getting married and everything else, that comes with that. My biggest, I guess, problem with the movie is that once she does get married to Elvis, really, even maybe even before that, maybe once she moves to Graceland, it all sort of becomes like montage mania because we're passing time so quickly, that we never really get to see, other than like, okay, Elvis was kind of abusive and he loved to yell at people and he would throw things and whatever, and keep her sort of in that proverbial cage and not let her go and do what she wants and live her life and work. And okay, we got that. But I don't know. We didn't get like the Priscilla perspective on that. Yeah, okay, we get that it was horrible for her in some instances, but we never really show that side of that. Just sort of her being sad and lost and whatever. But it never goes deeper than that. And I don't know. And that could be a problem with a movie tackling so many years. Unless it's gonna be. I mean, and even the Lerman movie did some of that. All of the '60s is pretty much montaged through, and that movie was almost 3 hours. So unless you have like a really really long movie, which this one is not, it's right about 2 hours. So I missed that part of it. But look, that is I think a minor complaint, because this is a really really well done movie. Sofia Coppola, like I said, always sort of does this theme pretty well, with the sort of pinned down woman, not being able to be herself and live her life and whatever. We've seen it countless times in the Coppola movies, and what better person to sort of do it with than Priscilla Presley, sort of one of the more famous, of the you're gonna do as I say and whatever. But clearly she was in love with him. And like I said, because of that sort of fast pace once they get married and stuff, we sort of gloss over the Lisa Marie years. Yes, she's present, but in one scene she's just a baby, and then the next scene she's like 5 or 6 or whatever. So there's a lot glossed over here that maybe we could have done better with in a mini series. But at the same time, does that then get too repetitive? Because that's what was going on in that time. I don't know. It's a good question. But anyway, these two lead performances, though, really, really elevate this movie. And Coppola's directing is very good. And Priscilla, of course, not Elvis, is a producer on this movie as well. So, not only is it adapted from the book, but she did have her input and stuff. So, look, this is obviously a movie from her perspective. How much of it is true? Probably a decent amount, but maybe a little bit, over extended. I don't know. Tough to say. Obviously, of course, I wasn't there, but for dramatic effect as well, it works. But this is a pretty decent movie, and honestly, maybe a nice companion piece to the Lerman film. It's certainly, like I said, more grounded overall. And Elordi's Elvis performance is definitely more sort of in that realistic realm, I think. But yeah, I think it's a nice companion piece to that movie. You certainly don't need to see that to see this, and different tones as well. But I leave Priscilla with a B, and you can check that out in theaters right now. All right, thanks for watching Dan Reviews It. I'll see you next time.